All right. We're going to spend a few minutes in group reflection about the verses over the last few days. And so that's verses, what are we working with? 19, 20, 21, and 22. So got some messages coming into the chat box here. Also got some light coming in from behind me very strongly just at this moment. Pamela says some lines that stuck in my head this week. Stay at the center of the circle and let things take their course. Yes. Another line that stuck in her head, stop thinking and end your problems. That's a powerful one, right? It's the very first line of verse 20. Just grabs you, doesn't it? John Samuel says, oh, yeah, no, that was right. It was missing John Samuel. I think that I just had maxed out whatever the amount of lines that this chat box would let me put into, and I noticed it just at the end there. Thank you for noticing that. That last line is really important. Great. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that with me. What lines are really sticking out for you and serving you? My recommendation is when that happens, when something grabs you like that, walk around with it. Use it as a mantra in your meditation practice. Contemplate it as you go through your day. It'll probably just happen totally naturally without you trying very hard. But that is the process of or that's the practice really of working with wisdom. It's not enough just to see words on a page or hear them read. With this kind of deep perennial wisdom, we then need to start trying it, right? Try to reside at the center of the circle. Try to stop thinking. Try to notice, try to track the relationship between your problems and your thoughts. Observe it in your own life. And also, my favorite teachers would always, always, always tell you to do this. Don't take their word for it. Try it. See for yourself. Practice this on your own. And I've studied so many different traditions. I've gotten into all these different things, and ultimately me feeling like I have a center to reside in, me feeling like I have that strong place to return to and to abide and to be, for me has meant that I had to spend more time practicing inwardly, like trying these things for myself, really exploring my own beliefs and how my thinking works, etc. I need to spend more time doing that than in the outer world, kind of trying to grasp after or to collect the wisdom from outside. And that's also all to say, this book, which I've read countless times, is actually quite short. It's quite little. It's just 81 little verses. Some of them are very short, right? But even within this pretty relatively small spiritual text, even within that, there are certain lines that I work with over and over and over again, and they reveal to me more and more as I work with them. And those things that you have put into practice and that you've proven to yourself through your own experience, that's the wisdom that becomes yours, that becomes something that you can actually trust, something that you can share. In today's verse, he says, the master. The master is the name, it's the way that this translator gives the name to the one who is at one with the Tao, the one who has fully embodied all of this wisdom. And it says here, the master, by residing in the Tao, sets an example for all beings. Not by knowing about the Tao, not by having memorized all of the wisdom of the Tao, right? There's a distinction there that comes up throughout this whole text. From the very first verse, the Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. We recognize that the names and the telling, the words and the concepts can actually get in the way of actually doing the practice, of actually realizing the Tao, of relating directly to nature rather than relating to our thoughts about it. So the master isn't the expert on the knowledge of the Tao, not interested, right? Interested instead of actually living, breathing every single moment, residing in the Tao. Because he doesn't display himself, people can see his light. Because he's not trying, he's not doing the song and dance of being a master. People see his light. Because he's got nothing to prove, people can trust his words. He's not so set on his identity so others recognize themselves in him. This description of somebody who, this happens again and again, where the description of a leader, later we'll see the leader follows, right? The leader is comfortable in the most low places that others disdain. I think that one came up earlier in the text, right? And he hits us again and again with these paradoxes that make us go, huh? Wait, I thought the leader was the one who was in front and on top. And so again, it makes us go back into our own reality and then look around for examples of leaders that you respect and see how much they do or don't look like this master. When I was younger, I was very impressed by song and dance. Oh, you've got a whole lot of followers here all bowing to you and giving you big flower gifts. You must be really special. But of course, I have now seen that there's all kinds of ways to get power, and that all kinds of people who are not masters of the Tao have that power. And then I see what the results are, which he'll tell us again and again what happens when power ends up in immature hands. Becoming the master means becoming that one who is so mature and so wise and sees the whole picture so much that that ego self, that small self, isn't compelling anymore. The song and dance, the vestiges and expressions of privilege and power are something that the master sees right through. John Samuel typed that he really loves this line, the last line of verse 21, the line that that got cut off, which is funny, right? You're like, I know I saw that one. Anyway, I look inside myself and see. Just that line. That's meditation, right? That's what we're doing all day long. That's we're coming back to the center. Going back to verse 1, he says, free from desire, you realize the mystery. Caught in desire, you see only the manifestations. So we look around this world and we see all these manifestations, expressions of truth. And looking inside oneself and seeing, returning to the center, what we're doing is We're learning how to become essentially non-attached or detached from manifestations, from all the stuff, from all the kind of material trappings of life. And the Tao made material trappings possible. The Tao is still there inside the material trappings. But if we want to recognize the mystery, the darkness within the darkness, what's underneath and inside of and before and beyond these little manifestations or material expressions, we have to look inside. We have to look inside ourselves and see. But he says, you know, this is from yesterday's verse, which, gosh, I love them all, really. You know, it says the master keeps her mind always at one with the Tao, but the Tao is ungraspable. So how can her mind be at one with that? Because she doesn't cling to ideas. And, you know, at the bottom, he says, how do I know all this is true? I look inside myself and see. So again, right there is that sort of theme that I felt inspired to start with in ways, this idea of the living life every single moment from a place of real sort of curiosity and inquiry and contemplation, trying to figure this out for oneself. Seeing this human experience as a sacred opportunity to realize the mystery, to come to touch truth and align ourselves with what is most real and true. This is practicing. This is how we become the master. And guess what? It's also how we stop thinking and end our problems, right? From verse 20. We're not doing all of this for power over others, because the masters that are actually the example don't care about that. And that's why they're so powerful. I'm going to go back to 20 here for a moment. I did a whole kind of extended little talk, like 8-minute talk on verse 19, which you can check out. So I'm going to kind of leave that. And I even talked about some more of that today already. But go back to verse 20, which Pamela pointed out, you know, stop thinking and end your problems. What difference between yes and no, between success and failure? Must you value what others value, avoid what others avoid? How ridiculous. And again, you know, some of this, for me at least, there's a kind of almost a goading. He wants us to kind of go, hey, don't call me ridiculous. And let me see if I can challenge this. And that's great, because that wakes us up and makes us engage with this and see for ourselves. Going through these verses this way is really effective for me too, obviously. Like it's all very fresh in my mind that every single day I read a verse, we sit with it quietly, it soaks in, we talk about it here a couple times a week. This one I've been thinking about too. This one's really the last couple of days, every time that I'm feeling mired in all of my problems, you know, is there a way that I can give myself a break from thinking about it all so much? From worrying the sore, you know? Is that something that is that a gift I'm capable of giving myself? Is that a gift that I deserve? Do I really, is the suffering bothering me? Is it something that I want to resolve? Let's try. Let's try this. Why not, right? Tried everything else. Why not give this ancient wisdom a try? Take it for a test drive. See if there are moments where you can go, hey, I actually had a decision to make about continuing on a public yoga class that I've been teaching here. I'm not what 10 years ago, I was this ambitious yoga teacher and teaching all these different studios and trying, and now it's just like, oh, I have this class that because I like teaching. Anyway, it's going back and forth. Yes or no. What's success? What's failure? Does this really fit in with my goals? Am I flaking? I'm just going round and round and round, and practicing stepping back from thinking about it or worrying about it, taking away the power of this. I put way too much power in this decision. And then I spent all this time basically causing suffering for myself by thinking and thinking and thinking about it. And I ultimately saw this is an opportunity. This is a great opportunity to practice what he's asking me to practice. And, I did have to eventually go back and think about it, but just practicing, right, like we do in meditation, saying, not now. Hey, there's that cycle of thoughts again. I'm going to actually see if I can just put that down. I'm going to go do something else. I'm going to think about something else. I'm going to repeat my mantra. I'm going to repeat my favorite line from the Dao De Jing of the week, and see if I can decentralize whatever it is that's causing me that suffering, like make it less the center of reality. And then examine for yourself. Look back a month later and go, what was the difference between that yes and that no, that success, that failure? What, I was so worried about making the right decision. And then we can, in retrospect, continue that investigation and see for ourselves. And each time that we see for ourselves, that it's possible to do these practices in some little way or another, and that they work. Every time that we do that, we strengthen that trust in the master that's already in you. It's in every single one of us. The Tao is already here. We can't escape it. So that master who is at one with the Tao is also here. And in a way, what we're doing is just building a relationship of trust with the true inner teacher, that wise part of the self that is already wise. And learning to say, just even if it's just a few more minutes every day, I'm spending a little more time letting that part of me lead. I'm spending a little more time learning that when that part leads, I have less suffering and more satisfaction and love in my life, right? And truth. And we build that. And we're building it just the right way, slowly, day by day, over time. Okay, I'm gonna sign off. And you may have noticed now that we're in these longer times, the meditations themselves, the silent meditations, are about 20 minutes. And then I'll be sending something out soon about how we're going to do February. February is going to be a little bit different. We're not going to be just meditating, otherwise by the end of February, I'll be meditating for 60 whole minutes. Not exactly going to do that. I'm going to break up the time in a way that I'll share with you, and also be sharing little inquiry questions so that you could then turn the end of your practice into journaling. And as I've been saying all along, maybe you turn the end of your practice. Maybe you're doing it right now. You're stretching a little bit as you've listened to this, or you're finding other ways to use the practice time. But that's exactly what we'll be doing. For now, I'm going to sign off. Thank you so much to everyone who's here live. Thank you, everyone who is either listening or watching and following along from home. We appreciate your presence, and we invite you to share about your experience in the comments. Thank you very much.